Today I'm going to the D-Day Experience Museum, and I think this one's going to hit a little bit different. Not just because of the history, because it shows how normal life can turn into fear and confusion and survival. And for me, that's where the link is. Not comparing stories, but recognising trauma can start in moments like that. And the sad thing is, it doesn't always leave when the moment ends. Well, here we are, day 4. So like I said, we're off to the D-Day Museum, or the D-Day Experience. It's only about 15 minutes up the road. Now I've got tickets, I paid for them yesterday. It cost me around, I'm sure it was like 14 quid, something like that, maybe 17 for the complete experience. So I'm going to do the 3D cinema, the simulator, and the museum itself. So they reckon it's about 3 hours for the whole experience. After that, I'll be moving on to my next location. But yeah, so this vlog is a little bit less about me, but I suppose it's going to be more about what they all went through. I'm on the move. However, I need fuel. So, but I need to get there as well, because I've got a set time for the tickets. So, pushing it a bit late again. Hopefully there's a fuel station down this way somewhere. That's another thing to mention today as well. It's VE Day today. So we're on the 8th of May. So it'll probably be quite busy at the museum. But the museum's not on my mind at the moment. I need a fuel station. Well, that didn't take long at all. I'm nearly at the location for the experience. I'm probably going to leave fuel and then work out where the closest garage is after, because I'm booked in for 9:45 and it says I'll get there at 9:38. I planned that bit right, but I totally forgot about the fuel scenario because it was such a long drive to get to this site. Every fuel station I passed was on the opposite side of the motorway and I couldn't be bothered, and I thought that'd be fine. And then I totally forgot, didn't I? That I would need fuel setting off today. But less of that, let's get there and enjoy the museum experience. Looking forward to it. I've arrived. It's quite empty actually at the moment, but it is only just open. So looking out there, you've got all this parking as well. Now I've just put myself to the side because I didn't know if the grass will hold my weight properly. Now, I found a fuel station. It's just down the road, about 5 kilometres. So after this, I can get fuel and that'll be fine. No problem at all. Decent sized car park, to be fair. Like I say, you've got all that up there. I'm hidden. Can you hide a van that size? I tried. But look at the size of it. Right, I think the cinema starts at 10. So let's check out the time now. So I've got like 15 minutes. So that's the size of it. And I've got to see this house as well, because the house itself is the Dead Man's Corner house. That's like a little museum. Visitors with a ticket. Booking online and groups in this way. Well, it's easy as that. Now, I'm not sure if the cinema's in English, because I think I've got to get something so I can hear it in English. I've got that. Also, I've got the letter F for the simulator. So when that's done, I'll get on the simulator. Cinema entrance. Aha. Well, I'm in. Got me 3D glasses. And I've got my headset for English. So I'm right in the centre as well. Look at the size of that screen. Wow, what can I say? What an absolute experience. I don't think I've ever seen something as good, and the 3D cinema was absolutely amazing. It really gives you a good picture in 3D of the whole story, really, about D-Day and how the attack happened, how they had to wait for the right tide, the right moon, how the paratroopers came in, people offshore, the battleships. But seeing the thousands of planes and ships, it's amazing. Definitely recommend this, the D-Day Experience Museum. Definitely recommend going into the cinema. So I'm getting ready for the simulator now before I head off into the museum. I'm just waiting now, I seem to be the only one here. And that says the briefing room. But yeah, so this is the museum. You can see it getting built up there.
Lieutenant, I'll leave the door open. As soon as you get the latest weather report, send it over to me immediately. Soldiers, I need your attention. If the weather forecast is confirmed, in 5 minutes, you will be in the air, heading for France. You understand me? This is not an exercise.
Well, that was an experience, a really good one actually. So first off, you get the briefing, try to get a few clips in there, and then you get put on the aircraft and taken to Normandy. But we crash landed, unfortunately. Got out safely. I'm here safe. But wow, what an experience today has been. Well, this would be looking through the bunkers, as if you were looking through the bunker. Just seeing the devastation on the other side. But the amount of helmets that must have been, I don't know, left behind, because, I mean, this museum's full of the helmets. I believe that must be the sailors' uniforms. Like I say, helmets everywhere, but even the jackets are quite really good. All different patches on the jackets. It's nice when they got the photos of the people the helmets actually belong to there. Again, all the pictures of people the helmets belong to. So, Royal Navy. Obviously Commando, Marine. US troops there. That's quite a big mock-up. I mean, we're on the second floor of the museum here. And you've got that hotel. The troops outside. I suppose in a way that's probably what it would have looked like. Leads you out into the gift shop. Yeah, loads in here. Loads of books and memorabilia and jumpers, hoodies. Oh, that's the D-Day experience done. But, you know, just the amount of people that died. It was a success. We pushed the Germans back. You know, I didn't realise how much land they had actually taken, and even going into Russia. I mean, Russia pushed them back. They got pushed back from Africa. And then we took it on the Normandy side, and thousands of lives lost. I mean, I think they said it was like 16 million lives were affected. Yeah, just the stretch around here from Dead Man's Corner, you got Purple Heart Lane, where it was a 2-mile stretch into the local town, Katarin, I think it's called, and it took a lot of lives to get there, but they needed to take that town as a strategic sort of post, but they got it. So I'm just going to go and motorhome quickly, and then I'm going to go and pay a visit to the Dead Man's Corner house, because that's a museum as well. Well, it's funny when you come to these sort of places, museums and that, and you park your motorhome up there. Just got back in the motorhome, just to use the loo really. I didn't want to use the ones in the museum, nothing against them. I just thought it'd be easier and check on the motorhome at the same time. But yeah, you're just up there and it's like all the blinds are shut. Could have been absolutely anywhere, but in my safe space. Love it. Actual Dead Man's Corner is what it was named. And it sits here. This, I believe, is the original. Just some pictures there of illustrations, but it looks like it's even in the same colours. Definitely stands out, doesn't it? See, up there, you've got the paratrooper. Now, I'm not sure if that's a shot, but it says entrance is up here. So let's have a little look, see if we can get in up here. Ooh. Wow. It's a little bit dark, but you can see a machine gun there out the window. Obviously doing some planning. I wonder if these, if you can see that, I wonder if they're original bullet holes. So there. Medical room. Okay. We'll look after all the injured in here. Actually, looks to me like it was a kitchen. There we are, looking out the window. So I wonder if it was that direction they had to go. Looks like someone fell through the roof, paratrooper. Look at that, you've even got issued cards, prisoner of war card, date of capture, place, and unit making the capture. So in this one, it looks like you can buy, yeah, you can buy all the old badges, caps, etc. I think even some of these are for sale, look. Medical kits. Got the different shirts and everything down there. I suppose there must have been so much still here. You don't need everything. You can buy some. Looks like an army surplus store. Do you reckon these are all original? Got to be. That's 675 euros. Some are worth less. Wow. You can pretty much buy the entire uniform here. Got a whole rack of different German uniform as well. I don't think some of it's original. There's the Purple Hearts I was on about. One of the highest awards for the American soldiers. Hence why that lane was called Purple Heart Lane. Well, I do recommend this place. Very difficult for me to get the emotion that's involved in this place on camera because you've got the cinema and it is strictly no cameras. You've got the simulator, and without experience it, you'll never know. So, but yeah, my recommendation is definitely get down to Dead Man's Corner if you can and do the D-Day experience. So I'm going back to the van now. I've got to go and get the fuel, which is about 5k away. Once I've got the fuel, I'm going to get to my next stop, which will be about another hour after that, I reckon. Okay, that's the fuel situation done. I couldn't get a full tanking, it's like 150 euros for 60 odd litres. So it's €2.10 here. But just put 373 miles in my tank. So plenty to get to the next stop. And then I'll probably have to fill up again to make my way home for the stop after. But yeah, not too bad. Just down the road, happy with that. Trouble is, there was no signs on the main road, so you sort of have to Google Maps them to find them. And then I missed the turning because I was looking at my Garmin, which I've set to the campsite. But anyway, I've got to look to the left, so I'll see you in a minute. Literally just over there, just going past the Normandy Victory Museum. I'm not going to do that this time. I'm going to come back to this area because I would like Jodie to experience the museum I've just been in, and we can experience that one together. Now, looking at fuel prices on this road, bloody hell, it's cheaper than I've just paid. $1.99. Anyway, yeah, so we're off to the Juno Beach now, that area. There's a big museum there. I'm there for a few days. I'll show you the campsite I'm staying on and everything when I get there. But I'm feeling a bit better about everything today. I don't know if it's because the sun's still shining. I feel relaxed into the trip now, which is a good thing. And just taking in the stories of others sort of reminds you you're not the only one. You're not the only one out there that suffered whatever conflict you've been in. And there's thousands of people. Those that are not upfront with their feelings just yet. I mean, I'm still not upfront with my feelings, to be fair. I'm just trying to release some of my own tension by keeping everything in. It doesn't mean I have to go into the stories of how. It's just nice to be honest to yourself. I think until you can accept it yourself, then you're never going to be honest with yourself or anyone else. I'm just driving along thinking to myself that many people out there may not know what PTSD is, or post-traumatic stress. Obviously, it's a stress on the body. And to develop PTSD, you have to be directly or indirectly involved in some form of trauma. So that's why it can happen to absolutely anyone, not just anyone serving in the army or military, Navy and RAF, but absolutely anyone. So it's the primeval part of your brain. Now, things that happen within that trauma, it does not get processed properly. Hence why nowadays they try and talk about the event straight after. And because it don't get processed properly, it don't get stored in the right part of the brain. Now, when you have a memory and you think back to your childhood and you think back of a nice memory, whatever you were doing on the beach or whatever, that memory will get a timestamp. You would know the rough time, and some people know to the hour, and it gets stored correctly. But what happens in a trauma, it doesn't. It gets stored in the primeval part of the brain, and it can keep resurfacing because there's no timestamp. You can actually live that experience and believe it's happening to you right now. So a lot of therapy out there, CBT, cognitive behavioural therapy, and EMDR, I just know it as rapid eye movement therapy, is to try and get them trauma memories into the right place so they don't bother you as much. Along with that, you'll be overwhelmed with things like guilt, fear. Your emotions will be on a different level, really. And it's okay to manage with enough therapy, and if you've got the tools, the personal tools that work for you to deal with it. But if your bucket gets full, we think of the mind as a bucket, and everyday stresses get put in this bucket. If you've got to go to work and what you've got to do at work, and you've got to get the kids ready in the morning, and you've got to make sure they've got the lunch, and you've got to pick them up, and you've got all these other stresses and other things you've got to do go into that bucket. But if you've got that trauma memory, that's just getting added to the bucket as well. And the overflow is in the military, you're actually trained to what they call near enough the trigger point. And you're trained to fight, not run away. It'd be no good having all soldiers to run. So your bucket is programmed to be quite full and right on the trigger point. But if anything spills over and you can't manage it, well, that's when it can really cause a problem. And there's a lot more to it. That's just the basics of post-traumatic stress. I mean, going through therapy, you do learn a lot. With combat stress, I've done 2 1-week residential, and I've done a 6-week residential, the intense therapy program, and it's quite intense. And they're great courses, and you have to do some form of activity. Different medications I was on, I put on a load of weight. My activity was going and using their gym, and that's why I started to do that. And I actually done the trials in Sheffield for the Invictus Games ones. The trouble is with these sort of intense therapy programs, they're better than the 2-hour sessions and then you go home. Nothing's closed off really. You have to do something after, and there's people or other charities out there that help with that, and Veterans in Action is one of them, where they work on Land Rovers, they do all the mechanics, all the body work, they go out on exhibitions, they've got other activities they do, walking through the woods, different activities in the woods. But you need somewhere to go from the therapy, otherwise it don't work as well. The trouble is, you're never going to be who you were, you just got to learn and to adapt the way you are now, and understand, I've made this mistake many a times thinking, do you know what, I'm all right. I'm good. The moment I say something like that, something triggers me and something bad happens, and it reminds me I can never take my guard down. Hopefully that gives you a bit more of an insight of post-traumatic stress. I mean, if we go back to World War I, you were probably shot for having PTSD. People didn't know PTSD existed really. And they thought you was a traitor and didn't want to fight for your country. But shell shock is what the name was, wasn't it? Look at that. I found myself a Lidl. So, switch over to gas, make sure that's all good. There is a height barrier here, just there, but you can park just in front. Yeah, I'm not far from my site, so I'm going to pop in Lidl. I do need to top up on some stuff. It saves me trying to find one later. Arrived. So I'm here. I'm not going to show you the site properly. I will give you the price though. Without electricity, €10 a night. Now it does look like a bit of sand underneath, grass and sand. But I've got all this big pitch here, and I'll show you it properly, but it's a proper campsite. But I'm here for 3 nights. So what I'm going to do is close this one off here, start a fresh one. I'm now at Juno Beach area. Yeah, so it weren't too much of a bad drive. I got here finally. I'd like to say thanks to everyone that subscribes, everyone that supports me and Jodie, and I will catch you on the next one. So until then, bye.